Hi guys, I want to share something so real with you, and I just want to say that I hope no one takes it the wrong way, because I'm sharing because it's very important for you to understand this and to know this on your walk, on your journey. And I know there's many people that understand this, but they see it as pointless to explain this to people, because it's almost like not many Christians have the ears to hear and the eyes to see, so they won't understand. So it's almost like talking to a brick wall. And then some people, they just don't talk about it or share it because it's something they want to keep to themselves. You see what I'm saying? And it's almost like, well, if they don't choose to hear or see, or they can't hear and see, then that's their problem. Like, some people have that mentality, so they keep certain lessons and wisdoms like this from a lot of people. And I just want to say something to you. It's so important that when you're on your journey with God and you have that personal relationship with him, it's very important to do not burn your bridges. Do not burn your bridges with people. Sometimes you will burn bridges with people without even realizing you're burning bridges with people. And burning bridges can be because you're maybe overly critical of something. You may be very paranoid. Also because the devil will use anxiety from warfare and attacks to make you become so overly critical, so paranoid, to the point where every encounter you have with someone, you think they're demonic or you think they're bad. You get what I'm saying? And even if it's a stranger, you just may think the worst because of what you're used to the point where you become so overly critical, you burn bridges without even realizing you're burning bridges, right? And it's so important for you to understand this. This is the reason why God always says to us, be slow to speak. Be slow to speak, be slow to react, and to really just be slow to speak and just sit back and just observe and be wise. Even if you're skeptical about something or you're not sure of something, or it's always better to just pull back and observe before actually being so quick to speak or say something, because the devil also knows how to keep you away from your blessings. And if you're not discerned enough or smart enough to know, hey, not everyone is bad. Hey, God uses people to bless us. Every blessing that God is going to bring in your life physically is going to be through other people. It's going to be through other people. Every single blessing that God brings to you in the physical is going to be through someone else. And sometimes it's not going to be from someone who's on the same walk as you. I'm letting you know this. Sometimes that may not be the case. You see what I'm saying? That may not always be the case. Yes, God will use other believers to bless you, but let's keep it real. There's a lot of Christians who are so far into religion that a lot of them don't have that personal relationship with God, to the point where they're restricted and they don't have access to certain things that many other people have access to when it comes to opportunities. So chances are you'll maybe find it's very hard to find Christians who have that personal relationship with God, and it's very hard to find Christians like that. And but when you see them, you'll see them, you'll know. But at the same time, sometimes God will use other people who are not on the walk to bless you. God can use anyone to bless you, even if it's someone that's not even from the same belief. And I'm gonna go into details about this, because a lot of people are gonna be like, oh no, I already know people are gonna get mad at me saying that, but it's the truth, right? And God may end up using them to bless you. God can use your own enemies to bless you. Do you see what I'm saying? He uses your enemies to bless you all the time. So, because even some of the obstacles you go through lead you to your purpose. So he does use your enemies to bless you too, right? Let me tell you what I mean by some of this. So sometimes people are so overly critical and so paranoid. It's almost like some Christians, when they see people, if they see that person's not from the same belief, they instantly start feeling skeptical, or they instantly start judging them, or they instantly just like, oh, okay, I got to keep my distance, or I got to do this, got to do that. It's almost like their vibe, their mood, everything changes when they find out, oh, that's your belief. Okay, bye. And it's almost like they have an attitude, or they have some type of attitude, and it's almost like they look down upon the person. right? And they think because of that, there's no point in keeping any type of ties or keeping type of any connections or keeping type of any contact because of that, right? And I just want to say that God can surprise you in many ways, and he can use anybody. He can use anybody to bless you. And a lot of Christians are skeptical, and they do things like that without realizing that, you know, doing that alone can be burning your bridges. You know what I mean? It doesn't mean that you have to be best friends with them. It doesn't mean that you have to call them all the time, because when God puts us in isolation or separation, people often think that when God puts you in isolation and separation, it means you cannot interact with nobody, period. Just go home, go to work, go home. When that's not necessarily true. When God puts you in an isolation separation period, he's clear on who he wants you to communicate with and who he doesn't want you to communicate with. He is clear, and he'll remove you from people that you grew up with or people that were around you that may have influenced you in a negative way. He'll remove you from these people. But that does not mean that you can't go outside and go to a coffee shop, have a coffee, and interact with a stranger, you know, at the counter and talk to them. That does not mean that you can't go to a networking event relating to your job or a business that you might be interested in opening. That does not mean that you can't go for a walk, you know, at the dog park, you know, and meet people and talk to them and interact. People think isolation and separation means like, you know, it has to just be you and God and that's it. When often people don't understand is you can still go outside and do normal things, but the isolation and separation period is more for you to depend and rely on God and to release yourself from people who had some sort of influence on you, okay? Negative influence on you. But that does not mean that you have to go into a store and be stuck up, go into a store, have attitude, go into a store, oh, I'm set apart, I don't have to talk to you. Oh, I'm set apart, so, you know what I mean? Because a lot of Christians think because they're set apart, they start treating anybody that's not on the walk or on the same journey, they start treating them like they're below them. It's almost like, I noticed that they'll look at someone and be like, oh, you're from a different religion, okay, I can't talk to you, I can't associate with you. Or, oh, you know, you wear a shirt like that, I can't talk to you. You know, it's like overly critical. And being set apart does not mean, you know, disregarding the feelings of others or disregarding people because you feel like they don't belong in your group or circle. That's not right. God did not raise us like that. He raised us to be humble. He raised us to be kind-hearted. He raised us to be understanding. And even if we are set apart, people will know you're set apart without you having to act like you're set apart, or without you having to, you know, put someone down to let them know that you're set apart, without you having to do all that. People will just know you're set apart. You can be set up. Let me tell you how people will know you're set apart. You can be in a whole nother country, and out of all the tourists that came to that country, there's something different about you. You're talking to people from that country and they instantly know there's something different about you. But not only do you talk to them with grace, humbleness, and in a kind manner, not only do you have a big heart, but they're noticing that you do a lot of things that a lot of tourists don't do. You have open conversations with them. You laugh with them. You chuckle with them. A way how people will know you're set apart without you even having to say anything is your heart. And people will know you're set apart not just because you're a foreigner, but you're set apart even from the foreigners. You're set apart from every other tourist that comes to that country. Let me tell you why. Because when you're in a taxi cab, the taxi driver picks you up from the airport, and you want the taxi for the day, for the whole day. You're like, taxi driver, I want you to do to show me around the city. You know, I'm new here, etc. I'm on vacation. I want you to show me around the city. The taxi driver, in his mind or her mind, she's thinking, okay, or it's mainly men usually that drive taxis in other countries. You don't really see a lot of women in other countries. But the taxi driver would probably be like, okay, this is strictly business, so I can't talk as much. And but because you have such a big heart, you want the taxi driver to feel comfortable, you still chose to engage in a conversation with the taxi driver. How was your day? How was your family? How is your children? And it's to the point where you guys are having such a good conversation, to the point where you forget you're in a taxi cab. He forgets he's even working, because it's the conversation you're having with the taxi driver is like you guys are long lost friends, right? And let's just say he's showing you around the city. You paid him for the day, and he's showing you bring you to all these sightseeing places, to the point where even when it's time for you to eat, you say, "Oh my gosh, sir, I'm gonna go eat lunch. I would like for you to join me at lunch. I know, because you're driving me around all day. I think it's a gift from me to be able to buy you lunch to feed you, because you're driving me around all day. I want to feed you. Maybe I want to buy you water so you have water to drink, maybe a snack." Every time you do something for you do something for the taxi driver as well, right? That alone lets the taxi driver know you're set apart, because the taxi driver is gonna be like, wow, when I pick up other tourists, they don't talk to me as much. It's giving me the location as to where I'm supposed to take them. I drop them there, I leave them there, and I wait for them to come back. And when they come back, I bring them to the next location, vice versa. Same thing repetitively. When it's time for them to eat, I drop them off. No conversations during the taxi drive. No laughing, no chuckling, no opening up about our beliefs, opening up about how we grew up, just opening up about our lives, cultures, no opening up, so it's almost like the taxi driver sees it as work, and that's it. So instantly the taxi driver will be like, wow, you are definitely different from all the tourists that I've met, because I've never really had anyone make me feel so comfortable throughout the day. And on top of that, you bought me lunch. That was really nice. I've never had anyone treat me that way. And then the taxi driver finds out you are a Christian. You're a Christian man or a Christian woman. That left an imprint on that taxi driver, to where now, let's just say you use the same taxi driver for the whole trip. Okay, for the whole trip, or for part of the trip. But now you take that taxi driver's number and you say, next time I come to the country, I will contact you and we will meet up. That's exactly what I did. So I have a friend in Bali because of this, who I contact every time I go back to Bali. I contact him, right? But I'm using that as an example. That alone is showing someone you're set apart, without actually you purposely trying to show people you're set apart. That came from your heart. That came from your heart. That came from you not being afraid to interact with someone because their belief is different. Not being overly critical and judging them based on how they look, you see what I'm saying? Or because of anxiety. Not letting the devil make you be so closed off, right? So it's very important to not burn bridges with people, and remember that God can use anyone to be a blessing in your life. God may have used you in that moment to be a blessing in that taxi driver's life without even you realizing it. And later on, that taxi driver may be a blessing in your life. I'm going to give you another example. Oh my goodness. Okay. So let's just say you went to Thailand. You went to Thailand for a trip. And when you went to Thailand, you met a really nice housekeeping lady at your hotel. Okay? She was really nice. You spoke to her. You had conversation with her. You were not afraid to have conversations with her. Let's just say that God put in your heart to tip her for cleaning your room. And every day when she comes in your room, you left a tip for her. And because she's never experienced this in her entire life, from anyone that she's received tips, but she's never ever seeing someone not only engage with her and talk to her, want to know about her, find out how she's doing for the day. You know what I'm saying? You're greeting her with kindness, but you also leave her a tip every day when she comes to your room. She's met with a tip, and she just like, wow, this is beautiful. And let's just say that you take her number and you guys keep in contact, right? And you guys text here and there. You go back home, you guys text here and there. And she talks about her family. You talk about your family. You guys may not talk every day, but You guys interact here and there, like, hey, happy Easter, Merry Christmas, or how are you? How is the summer going? How is Thailand going? Hey, I'm coming back to Thailand. I'm going to see you when I get there. And let's just say you've known this woman for 5 years. You don't talk every day, but you check up on each other throughout the year. And she knows you because you come to Thailand maybe once every 2 years, or you've been there 3 times, but you've known her for 5 years. You know her kids' names, you know her husband's name. And let's just say that between the 5 years, God has put on your heart on numerous occasions to bless her. Let's just say that one day you're sleeping and God says, hey, I need you to send the lady in Thailand $200. She's going to need it. And you message her and you let her know, hey, I'm going to send you a blessing. And she doesn't ask you for it. You just send it to her. Right? Now, let's just say this happened throughout the 5 years that you guys knew each other. Not only that, let's just say that she's not even a Christian. Let's say her belief is Buddhism. She believes in Buddha. Let's say that. But you never judged her. She knows your belief. You know her belief. You never judged her. You get what I'm saying? You never looked at her like she was below you. You didn't criticize her or feel like you couldn't talk to her because you're too set apart. Your heart played a role in your relationship with her. And God still gave you instructions to bless her. And when you bless her with, the blessings throughout the 5 years, you instantly let her know that God instructed you to do that. Hey, God instructed me to give you a blessing. Right away, she knows that the God you serve, the Lord Jesus Christ, is the one that told you to bless her. So she knows this. Okay? Let's just say that. Now, let's say it's been 5 years now. You get a revelation from God. And God says to you, I want you to open a business in Thailand. I want you to open a restaurant in Thailand. And I want you to open a ministry in Thailand. And you're like, God, how am I going to open a ministry and a restaurant in Thailand? And, you go there and you visit and you figure out everything you need to open that business. And let's just say that one of the requirements is you either have to have lived in Thailand for a long time to be able to open a business, or let's just say that the other requirement is you have to know someone for a certain amount of years that resides there who can advocate for you and who can put in a good word for you as being a good person in order for you to be able to receive the permit to open that business. Do you see that? And let's just say that the 5 years that you knew this woman, you did not befriend her because you're going to need her to help you with this. You didn't even know about this until after 5 years. God gave you this idea and these plans 5 years later. You befriended her because you really like her. You guys got along. You guys understood each other. She's kind to you, you're kind to her. You guys don't want nothing from each other. You didn't judge her. You weren't critical of her, nothing. Now you go to Thailand because she is a good friend of yours. She's been a friend of yours for 5 years. Now she could put in a good word for you. And now you're able to receive a permit to open your business in Thailand. And your business starts to blossom. That restaurant starts to blossom. Not only does a restaurant blossom, but you ended up opening a ministry. Right? In Thailand. Because she was able to put in a good word for you to receive that permit. And now let's just say it's been 7 years. You have your restaurants going. You have your business going. You have your ministry going now. And she decides to give her life to Christ 7 years later, since you guys first met. Do you see how God had a whole plan put in place to where he used someone who wasn't even on the same walk as you, and he used someone to be a big blessing in your life without you even realizing it? That woman didn't have anything to her name to offer you other than her heart, her friendship, right? And you were a blessing to that woman throughout the 5 years of knowing her. And every time God instructed you to give her a blessing, it was when she was in need, and she didn't even realize. It's not like you didn't even realize that she was in need. She would tell you she was in need after you blessed her with it. So God used you to be a blessing in her life, and God used her to be a big blessing in your life because she was able to help you by putting in a good word for you. So now you can have that restaurant and that ministry, which blesses you. which takes you to a whole nother level when it comes to equity, assets, legacy. Do you see that? God, we have to be so careful of how we treat people, because you never know who God is going to use in your life to be a blessing. Someone may come into your life and may not have much as you, but trust me, they may have a big role to play in your purpose 5-10 years from now. Someone may come into your life and they may have more than you, and you may be overly critical of them, or you may have a little bit of jealousy or a little bit of envy, and you may want to deter yourself from them because of that, because you can't control your emotions and how you feel about them. And then you ended up biting the hand that fed you because of that, and burnt a bridge with that very person that God was going to use to help you. I see a lot of people do this. And then when they do this, they ask God, where's my breakthrough? Where's my blessing? God, how come I'm not moving forward? Because God is like, every single person that I have sent your way, you have been overly critical of them. You have been overly judgmental of them. You have looked down upon them because they did not come in looking like your blessing. They did not come in looking like your blessing. Right? So we have to be very careful with how we treat people. This is why I always tell people, treat people the way you want to be treated. One of the things that really helped me was all the judgments that I received from people throughout the years, from the past up until even now. I received so much judgment from people who don't even know me, and they think they know me and they don't, to the point where it has taught me to never be like them. When I see people contact me and they judge me and they say, God told me this about you, and it's not even true, or they're critical of me for no reason because they just feel suspicious. They feel something is suspicious, but that's just their feelings. It's almost like it pushes me to continue being a humble and better human being, because I know that a lot of people that do this burn bridges. They burn bridges. A lot of people have done this to you guys as well, where they have burned bridges with you. They have mistreated you and treated you bad and doubted you, judged you, to the point where now many of them are trying to come back in your life. Many of them want to be a part of your life because they see how God is blessing you and realize you could have been a blessing in their life. But this is a reason why when God uses people to bless us, not all the time is he going to tell us this person's going to bless you. Sometimes he will show us what the person's purpose is in our life, and sometimes he won't. And the reason why he won't sometimes is because he doesn't want our relationship to be built on what we're going to receive from someone or what we can give to someone. He wants our relationships to be built on trust, love, you know what I mean? And learning about one another. And the example I gave you with the woman in Thailand, that was a relationship built on trust, love, not being overly critical, not judging. And that ended up, that blessing, that's a blessing that ended up, benefiting someone's purpose without them even realizing that woman was going to be a huge blessing like that. Every encounter we have in our life is important. And when God has a purpose for us, you have to remember that there's people that are involved in your purpose, and they're not going to come looking like your purpose or looking like your blessing. When they come, they're going to come looking like just a normal person. And that's how God intends for it to be, because that's how you build your relationship organically. You see what I'm saying? It doesn't mean you have to have a bunch of friends. It doesn't mean that you have to call them every day. But sometimes God will bring people in your life that you may not talk to every day, but you may talk to them throughout the year. And you guys have no harsh feelings towards each other. You guys understand each other. You guys respect each other. But hey, now God's telling you to buy a house. You know someone who's a realtor now. because you've known them for 2 years. You want to go into an investment in stock market because God's telling you to go into an investment. You met someone, at the coffee shop who's an investor, and you guys have been friends for a whole year. You may not talk every day, but you guys just keep up with each other every year. God can use people to be a blessing in your life, and they don't even have to be on the same walk as you. That when you have good motives and you treat people with kindness and the way you want to be treated, and you're not overly critical of people, you end up building healthy, organic encounters, and people will always remember the way you've treated them and the encounter they had with you. And you don't even have to be talking to them, like I said, every single day, every week or something, but every time you're about to go into that country, or every time you're going to be in the area, or every time they may just reach out to you and be like, hey, you know what I'm saying? It doesn't even have to be in another country. I'm just saying in general. Sometimes you can reach out to people, or they'll reach out to you, and it's just to have a good encounter. Like, just want to say hi, just want to see how you're doing. They're always going to remember you. You see what I'm saying? And you have to remember something. God may tell you to do things that doesn't make any sense. And that's based on your personal relationship with him. A lot of people are so caught up in, everything has to be, according to scripture, to the point where they limit themselves. They are overly critical of people who God could use in their life. And because they have put limits on God, put limits on themselves, and their relationship is strictly just religious, it's almost like they block themselves from having other opportunities. You see what I'm saying? Because not every single thing that goes on in your personal life is going to be in scripture. You're not going to find in the Bible God telling you which area to buy your house in, which area to invest in. You're not going to find in the Bible God telling you what to wear to this business meeting, or what to wear to this networking event. You're not going to find in the Bible some instructions that God gives you, because it's based on your personal walk with him. David, Joseph, a lot of the people in the Bible, they didn't write every single thing or tell you every single encounter they've had with God, because some of the stuff that God has given them, like instruction wise, was based on their personal relationship. So yes, God may tell you to interact with someone, and that person may not even be from the same walk as you. They may be from a whole nother, maybe from a whole nother walk of life, a whole nother culture. But because God may tell you to interact with them and talk to them, you won't understand why he's telling you to do that. And next thing you know, you've built that relationship with them, and guess what? Next thing you know, they have a role to play in the blessing in your life. Where like I said, some people, they're so overly critical, they will sit there and be like, oh, you're from a different culture, you're from a different belief, so I'm not even going to interact with you. And they block their own blessings because of that. Do you see what I'm saying? This is where limitations come in. This is that scarcity mindset as well, right? So God knows what he's doing. So I say this to say, analyze every encounter you have, and remember to always be slow to speak, and to always remember to, confirm your relationships with people with God, and never always be so quick to judge and be overly critical of someone, because that could be the very person who's supposed to help you, and you may end up burning that bridge with that person without even realizing it, based on you being overly critical, over paranoia, over anxiety, or maybe some jealousy. Or anyways, I love you guys, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.